After extensive research, we've narrowed down the list of the best motherboards for the i7-9700K to 5, so you can find a board just for you. In order to get a spot on this list, a board needed to prove itself according to several different parameters. We try our best in order to elaborate on this and provide a clear example and situations where a certain motherboard can prove to be a good fit for certain users. Here's how we perform our research and testing process. It's vital that a motherboard does not constrict an excellent processor such as the 9700K. It's also crucial that each motherboard on this list can provide at least decent overclocking support. That's the reason you'll notice us discussing VRMs, power stages, and power thermal efficiency a lot in this video. Many will want to overclock, as this is an unlocked chip. It's obvious that we should take note of which motherboards are good at this, which are subpar, and how all of them compare to one another. Reliability is also a big concern, so durability should be up to snuff for the long term. Going back to our key parameters, there are VRM design, aesthetics, connectivity, and overall value for money. All boards are judged according to this, and they've ranked accordingly. This is evident once you watch through each motherboard review and see the ranking system for yourself. You can also find a more detailed buyer guide and reviews of the 7 best motherboards for the 9700K on our website, bestmotherboardzone.com. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video from us. With all that said, let's take a look at the roundup. Price information and all motherboards mentioned in the video are available in the description. Number 5. Asrock Z390 Phantom Gaming ITX. It's a no-brainer to include a mini ITX motherboard for a processor like the 9700K, as there's a high chance that many ITX and small factory form PC lovers are watching this out there. If you're one of them, then know that this is by far one of the best ITX motherboards out there. The power delivery and VRM heatsinks extend right around the one on the chipset and M2 slots. These heatsinks are connected to each other by a 2-ounce copper pipe for better heat dissipation. This motherboard also integrates RGB LEDs near the bottom edge to provide a glow near the bottom of a PC case. Other than that, it even includes RGB headers and USB headers with high transfer speeds. Performance is always a concern with ITX motherboards. However, the Phantom Gaming ITX does the job quite well. You don't need to be concerned with the heatsinks getting toasty, so the processor can go full throttle for longer periods. Of course, overclocking is a bit limited, but that was an obvious aspect because of the 5+2 phase power design. Power efficiency is also quite decent at both idle and full load. Asrock does offer another ITX board for the Z390 chipset, known as the Z390M ITX. With that said, that option is best left avoided because the Phantom Gaming version features better looks and better raw performance. The value aspect here is also quite hard to ignore, as the pricing is quite aggressive. Overall, the Phantom Gaming ITX is quite a great motherboard. Once you look past the obvious imitations that come with the ITX form factor, you'll start to appreciate this motherboard for what it is. It's great for small form factor PCs, and if you're one of those people, then this is a no-brainer. To sum it up, we like this board because of the high-end components and controllers, the surprisingly great value, the Thunderbolt 3 Type-C support, and the great thermal performance. On the downside, there's no front panel USB 3.1 Gen 2 header, and there are only 2 DIMM slots. Our rating for VRM design is an 8 out of 10. Aesthetics is an 8 out of 10. Connectivity is 8 out of 10. Value for money, 8 out of 10, giving it an overall rating of 8 out of 10. Number 4. Asus ROG Maximus Code 11. If we're talking about design, few come close to the ROG Maximus Code 11. It builds upon the excellent legacy of Strix motherboards and takes the philosophy of creating great-looking and great-performing motherboards a step further. While design certainly is not everything, that ideology has started to change as of late. If you're the type of person who makes sure the gaming setup looks good, you'll have an appreciation for this one. It uses the same matte black PCB, which has a very sleek finish. The VRM heatsinks are massive, and it blends almost seamlessly into the giant rear panel cover. Instead of the usual branding and logos that make a board busy, Asus keeps it minimal here. The chipset heatsink and M2 heatsinks are combined into one single unit. This unit also serves as the shielding around 2 of the 3 PCIe slots. Enough about the design though, because this motherboard has AuraSync, customizable RGB, USB 3.1 Gen 2 ports, and a plethora of other features. It's not just about the design here. You also get great support for water cooling pumps and fan headers. Asus states that this motherboard has a twin-phase VRM design. You get 8 phases for the CPU and 2 for the memory and other components. However, it's a bit frustrating that the overclocking support is not as good as it could be. You can get away with light to medium overclocking, but you expect more when you're paying this much. Overall, this is still quite a decent motherboard. The overall value here is a bit skewed because of the lackluster overclocking, but it's a great option for people people who are not hardcore overclockers. By far, this is the best looking Z390 motherboard. To sum it up, we like this board because of the superb looking design, the great water cooling support, the high-end connectivity options, the high quality audio, and the durable construction. On the downside, it's disappointing overclocking performance, and it's quite overpriced. Our rating for VRM design is 9 out of 10. Aesthetics are 9 out of 10. Connectivity, 8 out of 10. But your value for money is 7.5 out of 10, giving it an overall rating of 8.37 out of 10. Number 3. Asus Prime Z370A, best budget motherboard. The Intel Core i7-9700K works great with either Z370 or Z390 motherboards. There's not a world of difference between these two, which makes choosing between them a bit easier. As such, the Asus Prime Z370A is an excellent option for people who want to build a gaming PC on a budget. In terms of design, it retains the look of higher-end Asus motherboards. It doesn't look anything like a ROG Strix lineup, but it has its own sense of style. Prime motherboards are known for their white aluminum heatsinks and the inclusion of subtle RGB lighting. The PCB is black, and the heatsinks we talked about contrast it gorgeously. While the triangular patterns are a bit distracting, they don't take away from the design at all. With that said, the design is not all that this motherboard has going for it. It's using the same VRM design like much of the more expensive Asus motherboards. The major difference is that it gets rid of a few of the higher-end features. Supreme Effects is replaced with the Crystal Sound 3 codec, for example. We get 3 PCIe full-length slots, though, and you do get SLI Crossfire support. The overall performance is quite decent, and it holds up to both gaming and synthetic workloads. You also get support for 802.11 AC Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 5.0. The 10-phase VRM configuration is quite decent, but we don't expect people to perform heavy overclocking here. A higher-end Z390 option would be a bit better. Overall, the Prime Z370A is for the folks who want a good-looking budget motherboard along with RGB lighting and gaming-focused features. It's great for people who want an all-around motherboard that looks good, but enthusiast overclockers might prefer to stay away from this one. To sum it up, what we like about this board is that it's a great entry-level Z370 option, the subtle RGB implementation, and unique white accents on heatsinks, the excellent software support, and the solid VRM configuration. On the downside, the 6 total USB ports are limiting, and it has lower-end components than Strix lineups. Our rating for the VRM design is 8 out of 10, aesthetics is 8 out of 10, connectivity 9 out of 10, and value for your money is 9 out of 10. The overall rating is 8.5 out of 10. Number 2. MSI Meg Godlike Z390. For the second spot on our list, we've got a motherboard that has a spec sheet and name that speaks for itself. The MSI Meg Z390 Godlike, with emphasis on Godlike. This is the best premium motherboard for the i7-9700K. It's certainly quite over the top in terms of raw performance results since it's the cream of the crop, so expect to pay quite a premium. The design is the most interesting aspect of this motherboard. It uses a black-gray finish on the PCB, heatsinks, and all over the exterior. This allows it to blend in with almost any build perfectly. The VRM heatsink is massive, and they provide excellent cooling to the 16 plus 2-phase power delivery. This board has a massive rear panel cover that has an infinity mirror inside it, providing an elegant and unique design element. To the right side of the DIMM slot, we have a 2-digit display that shows error codes during post. This is helpful for hardware enthusiasts who might want to troubleshoot without much effort. Just below this is an OLED display that's fully customizable. You can display CPU speed, temperature, and even add custom images and GIFs. High-end components are common with this board. You get killer 1550 wireless AC, E2500 LAN, and even Turbo U2. Apart from that, it includes 3 M2 slots for storage. Enthusiasts will be pleased with the quality of the hardware buttons present near the bottom of the board. The power and reset buttons sit beside an interesting-looking dial. This dial can be used to switch between OC profiles in the BIOS and is customizable to a good extent. Impressive stuff. To say this motherboard is impressive is an understatement. The Godlike enters this list with no holds barred. The top-tier components, cleverly thought-out design, and superb overclocking truly make this a sight to behold. However, as you can guess, the best of the best comes at a hefty price. To sum it up, we like this motherboard because of the beyond impressive performance, robust power delivery design, phenomenal overclocking potential, aesthetically pleasing RGB implementation, and the premium components and controllers. On the downside, the pricing is absurd. Our rating for the VRM design is 10 out of 10. For aesthetics, it's 9 out of 10. Connectivity, 9 out of 10. For value for your money, 7.5 out of 10, giving it an overall rating of 8.87 out of 10. Number 1. Asus ROG Strix Z390E. It's next to impossible to create a list of best motherboards for the i7-9700K and not include a Strix motherboard on the list. Strix products are known for having features that appeal to gamers, and they also look the part with their premium design. Fortunately, performance is also quite good here, so this was an easy win for the i7-9700K. Design-wise, the ROG Strix Z390E immediately impresses after taking it out of the box. It uses the same design style that's become familiar at this point, but Z390 was when Asus overhauled the Strix styling. Since then, every Strix product has followed suit. The all-black PCB pairs nicely with the dark heatsinks and black metallic accents. The large rear panel cover features an RGB zone, which is controllable via Armory Crate software. Moving on, this motherboard has 3 full-length PCIe 3.0 slots for multi-GPU support. Both NVIDIA SLI and AMD Crossfire are supported here. The top slot is a x16, the middle one's x8, and the last one will run at x4. You also get 2 M2 slots for storage, accompanied by 6 SATA ports for your traditional drives. Near these slots, the chipset heatsinks features Strix branding along with a metallic gray finish. Apart from that, you'll get a ton of features. Features such as a clear CMOS button, BIOS flashback, 802.11 AC Wi-Fi, and 2.5G Ethernet are a given. You even get access to the Supreme FX S1220A HD audio codec, which is great for games. On top of all that, you get a 10 power stage VRM configuration that's built for overclocking. All in all, this is an impressive motherboard through and through. It has everything an average gamer would want while still satisfying select enthusiasts with its fit and finish. If you can get past the somewhat absurd pricing, this is by far the best motherboard for i7-9700K for most people. To sum up what we like in this motherboard, it's the excellent fit and finish, the good performance for overclocking, its visually stunning RGB, the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth support, and that its accompanying software works well. On the downside, it's a bit overpriced. Our rating for the VRM design is 9 out of 10. Aesthetics are 9 out of 10. Connectivity, 9 out of 10. Value for your money is 9 out of 10, giving it an overall rating of 9 out of 10. Do you think another motherboard's better for the i7-9700K? Well, tell us your opinion, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Have an awesome day.